Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So happy to see you. So this morning we have Pam Woods as our message giver, and Bill.
Hoffman.
I know it just Bill Hoffman will be doing our wonderful special music, and of course we have Rick on the piano. If you would like to, please turn your phones off or to silent. That would be terrific. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's a beautiful day to be together. I have a God inspiration for you this morning before we say our statement of being and have our special music. And this is a poem brought to you by the late Mary Oliver. I've read her in here to you before. This is a poem called Wild Geese. It goes like this. Is Del coming to close the door? Is that Del?
I don't. Oh yes, actually it is.
Excuse us.
Leave the door open just for the coolness.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dale.
Good morning, Del. And good morning to you. As I was saying, I'm going to read to you a poem by the late Mary Oliver. It's called Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies, the deep trees, the mountains, and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese. Harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. I'm going to be talking today about language, and I think we can be trapped by our language, and we can be grateful for the blessing of it. We can know that every word we speak in our language has a myriad of other words in other languages that is trying to describe maybe not the very thing, but the very feeling that we are trying to show with our own word. It's a miracle sometimes, I think, that we can share our experiences. And part of my testimony about the influence of this church on my life today has to do with the unfolding belief in the perfection of taking people as they are, as perfect gems in the great crown of energy that enlightens all who care to look. And as hard as it is sometimes, that includes me and you. Let's join together and say our statement of being together before we dive into some music. God is all, both invisible and visible, one presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God, and am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance.
Good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
I went back into the archives for this one. I haven't played this in a while. It's my version of My Way.
And it's your way, and now it's my way. That's perfect. It's often so perfect in this church. Let's step within together. I just want to say I'm so glad to be here. I have not felt very holy this week. And so I'm really glad to be joined with all of you. And I'm glad to be here going within. Let's all take a deep breath together. Breathe out. Relax your body. Let's tell our bodies that it's time to open our hearts and commune together with God. Let's breathe in again. Breathe in the light and love. And breathe out all your anxieties and ideas. Open your hearts. Let's let the seed grow together. May today there be peace within. May you trust God that you are exactly where you are meant to be. May you not forget the infinite possibilities that are born of faith. May you use these gifts that you have received and pass on the love that has been given to you. May you be content knowing you are a child of God. Let this presence sink into your bones and allow your soul the freedom. The freedom is there for each and every one of us. Breathe in with me and breathe out. And so it is, friends. Let us take this moment to say our Lord's Prayer together. Our God who is everywhere, your name is sacred. Your kingdom is come. Your will is throughout the earth, even as it is throughout the universe. You give us our needful bread from day to day, and you forgave our offenses, even as we forgive our offenders. Let us not enter into materialism, but you separate us from error, because yours are the kingdom, the power, the song, and the praise, from all ages, throughout all ages, sealed in faith, trust, and truth. I should probably remind everybody who might be listening and might not know that I'm a congregant of this church, and which means a lot to me, and I'm here to express a little bit about what this faith community has done for me. So I said I was going to talk about language, and the working title on my notes is, Do You Name God? I've been thinking. Sometimes good, sometimes a bad idea. And when I do, I get ideas and I put them into metaphorical envelopes and I file them in metaphorical cubby holes. And I imagine there are membranes of organizational tissue separating me from the germ of my true peace, my meaning, my happiness sometimes. I've been reading a little about the many names we've created for God. I did some research because there have been many discussions about what this might be in our open-minded congregation, as well as down through the ages of our species. It's a very large topic. It's kind of daunting, the names of God. It's a vast subject, and it digs deep cubby holes for our theological concepts. The thing about cubby holes is that the things that are stored in them are not always shared. They're stored. And I think this kind of academic warehousing sometimes causes us common men to be cubbied as well. My computer did not like the word cubbied. It took me about 20 minutes to type that word. We are held separate from each other, sometimes by our stored, understandings. Hands are dancing. Here are some very well-known names of God from Judaic history. This is a few. These are the big ones. These are names that Jesus might have known, which is why I pulled this out. Yahweh, the Lord. Elohim, God. Shaddai, Almighty. Ayah, I am. I am. I like that one. Here's a weird one. Zavat, of hosts. This word often has other syllables before and after it to elaborate, like El, Aloha, Yah. Protected syllables. All of these words and syllables were protected in the Talmudic tradition because they form the sounds that speak the name of God. It's ironic to me that the origin of this protection is the idea that these sounds are so sacred that they must not be spoken. That's an interesting relationship to have with God, I think. It's all inside, can't speak it. Certainly not by the common man, or in some traditions, and in the old days, you can't even speak it if you're a high priest, or a high priest in common circumstances. But if we are to judge this as quaint or wrong, are we not denying our neighbors, or even our own path in faith, the very path that was set before us, or before them, to lead to a worthy life? These rules help to build fences over a field of battle, which I find very distracting. So far, I found this whole speech very distracting. It's about distraction. This small list is just some of the sacred syllables from the Judaic tradition that Jesus lived under. And I say lived under because it's a good way to put it, I think. Those who live by their religions usually live under a lot of rules. There are many other descriptive and poetic terms used to depict God from these times, and reconstructed terms to be gender non-specific as well. And here, I give you a very, very few of the translations, so I don't butcher the Hebrew pronunciations. These are some of the names from that tradition. Eternal One, Everlasting God, God Most High, God of Seeing Me, God of Gods, God of Heaven, wherever that is, Strong One, Creator, the Word, Healer, Guardian, Shield, Life Giver, Glory. So many terms. Not to mention my very favorite, which I found at the end of the list, Straightener of the Bent. The society that Jesus lived in when his body walked this earth was riddled with semantic traps. And they weren't just social traps. The religious people of that time had the very fabric of their communal life woven with rules of tribute, worship, religious justice, and punishment. But Jesus walked away from all that. Let's take a break. We're going to go somewhere personal to me. Because once again, I'm going to bring up my fascination with Catholicism. I've mentioned it before. I have sometimes joked about why I've been fascinated by this community since I was 4, at least that's where I can remember it from, never having had a Catholic in my family or any Catholic upbringing. It just seems to be one of my inherencies. I've often said to my friends who were raised Catholic, "You're so lucky. You get to be Catholic forever." Many of these friends argue and they say, this is in all caps, "I am not Catholic." But I say, yes you are. Because they will not let you go unless you're a famous heretic and you get excommunicated by the Pope. Bam! Cubbyholing. Semantics. Why do I love this? I can't be Catholic because I just don't believe all that stuff. One of my Catholic friends, a convert, which to me is a great leap of faith, which I honor, said, "All you really have to do is want to believe." Well, that's about 50% of my faith. That's what I want. I want to believe something. I want to be led by something that's not this. It's interesting semantics. I guess I get to pick or choose. Of course I do. I'm a human being. I can't be excommunicated from my Catholicism because I belong to this church, which respects myself and my wacky path to God. So, I found this Catholic scholar. I think everybody's heard of him but me. His name was Karl Rahner. He was a German Jesuit priest, and he died in 1984. He's very famous in the theologic community, so y'all probably know him. I just discovered him. I discovered him because of his clear language, despite his very scholastic bringing to faith. In his 80 years on this planet, he wrote on the subjects of philosophy, religion, and spirituality. More things than I could ever hope to read in my lifetime, even if I started again. And his musings were deep, so deep that his dissertation in philosophy was denied by his Catholic mentor. because it leaned more towards the existentialism of Heidegger. He studied under Heidegger, and not the neo-scholastic tradition of Catholicism of the time. I don't even really know what that means, but I was looking into it. After this man was habitualized as a priest, he taught and wrote with great influence until he was censored, quite out of the blue, by Pope Pius XII. And then, quite out of the blue again, he was welcomed to the Second Vatican Council, where he was most influential, till he died. And for all his deep-thinking ruminations, I choose to believe that this influence was granted from some of his most clear, to-the-point ideas, ideas that any of us could come upon, even without his scholarly work, especially my unfolding Catholics. Like this quote. This is from Karl Rahner. Just one sentence. The number one cause of atheism is Christians, those who proclaim him with their mouths and deny him with their actions, is what an unbelieving world finds unbelievable. So, before I came to this church, I could always find something worth listening to in church. Always. And the focus on that was such that I often didn't hear what didn't make sense. And a lot of it doesn't. What especially doesn't is when you walk out the door and you're back to, life as usual. To get back to my list of Hebrew names of God, we seem to give God the names we need. I can't tell you how many times I've said, not in a moment of faith, just in a moment, I've said, "Oh God," or "Oh my God." Everybody knows what I'm talking about. And then if you join together with your faith community, you might say, "Our Father," or "Father, Mother, God," or so many terms, and we can't argue about them. Some of us need a father. Some of us need parents, father, mother. Some of us need a catch-all, like Great Spirit. The seed is in us. The seed of our personal God is in us. It's probably the same seed as in this personal table. 1 John chapter 4, verse 8 says, "Anyone who does not love God does not know God, because God is love." Score. This little verse is another jewel in the crown. Who among us has not known some kind of love and holds in his heart, as I do, the struggle and the passion to have only that lead your life? I've had a hard time with that this week, but I am trying. The Judaic tradition is obviously not the only facet of mankind to seek this face. That's why I don't think it's right to judge people who believe things that are different. Many peoples have named the Great Spirit in their own way, from their own heart. This subject can be a fascinating distraction. What keeps you from your happiness? It's exactly what I asked last time I spoke. I asked myself this daily? What keeps me from my happiness? What keeps me and you from keeps us from truly helping ourselves and helping others? What is it? Is our conversation with God ever interrupted by a name that interfered with your hearing something important? So once again, I'm asking you to consider another conundrum. Something occupying our mind space by asking you this question. Ask myself this question. What are we allowed to call God? Is it loving to have our own new thought rules? No, I don't think so. That's why we call them ideas. We are allowed to think and discover and share. Some churches get in your face, even if they're saying nice things. They get in your face and they demand that you do it your way. They're not really sharing, they're demanding. If you don't do what they say, you'll be shunned. Maybe you'll be headed for hell. And when you go back to your friends, and they all say, what the heck was that all about? What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do with that information? That sounds familiar to me because it was in the Bible. Jesus had to listen to that stuff from the Sadducees and the Pharisees and all their rules. He had to listen to all that stuff. You have to do it this way. And what are you doing? And what are you doing? And what are you doing? With your hands on your hips. Trouble everywhere you look. Well, I feel like that's kind of part of the story of how our spiritual development begins. So what would you say? You might say one of three things. You might say, oh, forgive me, she's crazy. You might say, let's pray for her. You might say, everything's going to be all right. You might say that. Everything's going to be all right. Because we are allowed to be us. And we are allowed to find our God. 1 John 4:16 says, so we have come to know and to believe the love God has for us. God is love, and whoever abides in love abides in God, and God abides in him. I feel better already. Think about what God is, for surely God is in you, as well as outside of you. And we are so blessed in this church to come together in this understanding. This is the worship. Whatever we name is the name of God. Whatever we name is our name of God. So we had better watch our mouth, I think. That's one of the first things I learned in this church. What you say is very important, and it gives you a high level of responsibility. We put so much energy into wanting to change others. But the changes we make in ourselves are all that really matter. The changes we make in ourselves change those around us. I've seen it happen. Sometimes I find it very annoying. But it works. I'm going to say this again. we do repeat things from this pulpit. And friends, here it is. My most prominent philosophy of life that I developed by myself by really trying to adopt the teachings of Jesus. I love this. Everything good is good. Everything good is good. No matter how small, God is love. No matter how late, God is love. No matter to whom, like the church down the road, God is love. The important thing is to know from your heart to your mouth that God is good no matter what name you summon or what name your neighbor summons. Straightener of the bent. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Amen.
I'm glad I started with my way. This is a tune that's kind of looking forward to the next season, summertime.
That was beautiful. It's time for the blessing of the gifts. It's a time in our service when we acknowledge what we can give and we give back to the community. So if you will repeat with me our blessing. In the baskets by the door, we don't pass because of COVID. Today I acknowledge God, omnipresent, as the source of all good, as the source of my good. With this acknowledgement, I accept God's will, which is abundance in every aspect of my life. I release all thoughts of lack, limitation, and I am open and receptive to the increased flow of abundance to me right now. I joyfully accept the gifts of life and give freely of the special gift that I am. Through me, God omnipresent, blesses and multiplies this gift for all. Thank you, dear God.
I had such electrical shock there. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you, Pam, for that message. I needed that this morning. And I know Pam's had a trying week, and I think she did a very good message today, considering what she did this week. So thank you, Pam. Let's get started with the important things. Birthday Sunday. Birthdays in May are Jerry, Kate, Gil, Jane, Jerry's wife Karen, and Carrie, and also Jerry has an anniversary, so he's got a busy month here, so let's sing happy birthday. Now sing, we'll just listen to the play. Please come next door for cake and coffee. Excuse some of the cake when I went to cut it today. It was still warm, so it looks like it was squashed up a little bit. But anyhow, I was making it at 6 o'clock this morning, so it was still warm when I got here. So please take it home with you or something. So I'm not taking it home. Anyhow, the flowers today are sponsored by Jerry for his anniversary. How many years is this, Jerry? 40? 41?
44.
44? Woo. All right, congratulations on that. So, hey.
Same woman, too.
Hi, Karen. How you doing today? Oh, my goodness. All right, let's see. I want to thank Marita and Nancy and Doug and Rick for coming yesterday and helping clean up in the yard. And we really appreciate it. We've got lots of stuff done. We still have lots to do. So we will be doing it again maybe in 2 or 3 weeks. We'll try to get it done before the weather gets really hot, because I know that people don't want to do that when it's really hot. So I thank you all again for coming out and taking up your Saturday morning to do that. I appreciate it. As I said, Nancy and my position are up for re-election. Nobody jumped in to want to be part of that, so we're going to send out the ballots this week. They should be back in with the postal service. I'm giving it to the end of the month to get back in. And also we'll have the ballots here, so if you're here, you can pick them up and just drop them in the box so that we can save postage on that. So, and also, as I said, Pam will be on the ballot because she is taking over Melanie's position until May, until Melanie can get back on her feet and we can see what's going to happen with that. So the ballots, we'll try to get them out ready this afternoon, or so we'll have them out for next Sunday anyhow. Also, next Sunday is Mother's Day, and we normally have a Mother's Day potluck, but we're not going to have that this year. But we decided that if anybody, I know a lot of Sundays, some of us stay for lunch, and what we do is we order out and bring it back over here and eat. So Ann and I kind of talked about it, and we said if anybody wants to look at the Bellacino's menu and tell us what you want, we'll order, and you can eat with us for next Sunday instead of having potluck. If you got something, and if you can't go be with your mother or whatever, if you'd like to do that. So got the menu in there. If anybody wants to join us next Sunday for that, we would appreciate it. Did you have anything? Is this week Ian's meeting? I can't remember which Friday it is. First or second Friday? Oh, second Friday, okay.
Not this coming week.
Okay, no, you won't be here.
Coming week after
Okay,
that.
all right, cool.
Yeah, but I do want to say that we've started reading the Sermon on the Mount of Emmett Fox, and it's a very interesting book and not hard to understand. He speaks very clearly and very, very powerfully. And so if anybody would like to join us, we'd love to have you come. And then finally, anybody who is interested in membership in the church, somebody has asked about that for me, and I'd love to have anybody else who would like to join them speak with me if they are so inclined. But that's all.
Okay, all right. And we have journaling on Tuesday night at 6:30, and coffee right after Marita's reading class at 6:30 here at the church. We've been doing our coffee and fun time here. I think last week we decided we were going to call it happy hour instead of chit chat. So anyhow, come to any of those things that you want. They're all good, and especially Maria's reading class, they do some really good books. So anyhow, does anybody else have anything? All right, then let's get on.
On with the show.
On with the show.
Before we break, let's take some time together in our benediction to pray for our country. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean air, are heading home again. This is our home. Take a deep breath in for your country. A deep breath of light. And breathe out all your anxieties. Together, think of all the people individually you touch every day, and all the people they touch. They reach a network that goes all the way to the highest people in our land. Let's lift them up together today. Let's lift them up to goodness and light and love. We are so grateful. Amen.
Hey, Wayne, how are you?